everybody!
Hey!
Happy Monday! Welcome to the Dungeon Cooldown! Woo! We are here today to talk the dungeon run. If we have anybody in chat today or any watchers who are just checking out the channel and don't know what's going on here, this is our talkback show where we spend an hour talking about our Dungeons and Dragons live actual play show every Wednesday that's been going on for over 2 years now, and we talk about the characters, the plot points, theories, behind the scenes trivia, fun facts. So
what could be coming next? But we take questions from our patrons, and basically just celebrate this wonderful, amazing community that is gathered around this show, which we love you guys, and we like starting our week off this way.
And speaking of, I want to say hi to our early birds in the chat: Borkware, Mark D, Madamouse, G Westbrook, Sea King, Nikeba. Pen and Paper Games, hi! Whisper Josephine, Extinguish the Flame, Phoenix Factory, hi. Thank you for showing up early and getting the chat going. It's always fun to come into the stream with a chat already going and everybody greeting each other. So thank you for making this community safe and fun.
It is one of my favorite things when seeing people get their first taste of the awesomeness of our community, whether it be here in chat or in the Discord as well. It's like, wow, I just got greeted by 20 different people.
Yes.
Like, yeah, that happens.
So cool.
Yeah. How was your weekend, Jess?
It was, every time Monday comes around, I'm like, wait, what did I even do?
Right.
I was on set yesterday, so
cool.
that was great. It was a 13-hour day, which once
you
get past hour 10,
yeah,
I think it's like, okay, we're in overtime. Power through to hour 12. But as soon as hour 12 hits, I'm like, I need to be a zombie and preserve all of my energy for the takes.
That's so true. Yes. You just stop the small talk between takes just gets shorter and shorter.
All of us were like, don't talk to me. In the beginning they were like, hey, what's up on set, how you doing, let's chat about everything. And what about you?
Get worn out. Pretty good. I had a bit more of a chill weekend. My previous weekend was very active, and then I had a busy week, and so I really needed just kind of a simple just chill couple days. Though I did catch up on For All Mankind, the show.
I haven't heard of that.
Oh, it's on Apple TV Plus. It's fantastic, but it's extremely high tension.
I like that.
It's good. It's very good. I highly recommend it, but it's extremely tense. So there were moments like where you're just sweating, feeling like you're exercising, sitting on your couch. Yeah.
Wow.
Yes.
That's how I feel sometimes when I watch shows with like excellent acting, because I'm like paying rapt attention and I'm like watching every single tiny thing they do.
Just on the edge of your seat, and you don't even know why. It's true.
So this episode, we have a lot to talk about. Morgan and I were just going over what happened, and it was just more and more and more plot points. There's some lore drops.
Oh, and that. Oh, and this.
Yeah. We have
true.
some theories, some personal theories that we can chat about. So do we want to kind of go over what happened, or do we want to hit the questions from Patreon first?
Let's do it. Let's take a question first. How about this?
Okay.
Let's see. Oh,
and if you don't know, I'm going to drop the Patreon link in chat. This is how we are supported. If you like our show, feel free to head over to that link and support us that way. Also, just showing up to our stream and sharing the show is the most important way you can support the show, because we just want to share the story with as many people as possible.
Agreed. Let's see. Well, here I've got David Gen Pro asking me about, for Morgan, TDR cooldowns have often discussed the ways that D&D both improves and is improved by acting and improv skills. As a fellow horror film producer, this is true. Both David Gen Pro and I produce horror movies. He is currently at TIFF. That's nice. Have your D&D experiences helped you as a horror film producer? And conversely, are there production skills that you make use of in D&D?
That's a great question. Very original.
I know, it's exactly. I think D&D, and we talk about this all the time, is another way of storytelling, and that it's a game. But I mean, I think we've talked about this before, where I think D&D is at its best when it's just a group of friends or a group of people telling a story together. When you focus on D&D too much as a game, it feels like you can win and lose. And as we all know, there is no losing in D&D.
No.
The only way to win is to just play D&D. Yeah, I think I've talked about where it's like when you introduce new people to D&D, I've had people who had friends who've on their first night just rolled like crap, and they're like, oh, I just felt like I had such a bad night. And it was just sort of like, yeah, but think about it, like for your character, like failure is so much more interesting. I mean, Cass,
even if you die, it's
even if you
reroll a character. One of my most favorite characters that I've played was because my paladin rolled a natural 1 twice in a row and died.
Oh my goodness, that's brutal.
But then I had to play my barbarian.
There you go. There you go. You weep for what you've lost, and then you're like, but I've got this next one who's super cool. Yes, that's so true. And I was gonna say, even death is sometimes the coolest thing for a story. But have my D&D experiences helped me as a horror film producer? Yeah, no, I think they have. I think honestly, it's just about like practicing and honing storytelling instincts. You know, if you had this experience too, Jess, where whether it be for auditions or anything like that, you sometimes can feel the vibe of a story, and if you were to play this role, like this would be this character's role in the story. Sometimes having that bigger picture thing helps me get parts, to be honest, or helps me figure out like what a story needs. Because
I missed one word in that.
Sure.
In your question, it kind of cut out.
No.
What about the bigger picture with the character?
It helps you kind of stay aware of the bigger picture when you're because whether you're a producer or you're an actor or you're a writer, you know, you're just another piece of the storytelling thing.
Yes.
And it's kind of like being a player at the table and figuring out what you want to add that helps the story, you know, or you figure out what the story needs sometimes.
Yes, I do
D&D
agree
has
with
helped with that
Mm-hmm.
for sure.
Yeah.
Yes. Are there production skills that I make use of in D&D? I mean, we joke that Katie is the list is actually the list maker in both our meetings of Dungeon Run and as Lily Dumblestone. That is true. I mean, organization helps, and just, you know, and listening to people. Spoiler, listening is important no matter what you do for a living.
Is this a life spoiler?
Yeah, seriously. It's like listening, whether you're an actor, whether you're a D&D player, no matter what you do, I would argue that listening is probably one of the most important things you can do in any walk of life. And D&D is certainly helped by listening, and it's a practice to listen to each other. Yes, for sure. That was kind of a fun, interesting one to start it off.
We do have a question from Frankly Delicious in chat. Any tech updates to microphones and audio?
Very interestingly timed question, actually, too.
Actually, let me go get it. Hold on.
I was gonna say we've been wanting to share, and thanks to our wonderful patrons and all of the support for the show across Twitch. And our digital items, we have just recently purchased new audio packages for everybody. Everybody has a new mic setup that we should have ready by Wednesday. Jessica, Katie just literally, fancy mics.
I love you forever.
Yes, Katie literally just dropped Jessica's off, I think, 15 minutes ago.
Yeah, right before the stream.
Yes, so we do not have them up right now, but they will be up by Wednesday. Because I know Ugo's very, very rousing speeches occasionally created some issues, and also I'm very quiet sometimes. I can
be too.
James is sad and quiet sometimes. What can I do?
I'm gonna do an unboxing right now. Here we go.
King 137 says Jess needs a special moment alone with her new tech. It's true. It's very fancy, and this is all because of you.
Warranty?
Yes, this is all because of you, amazing supporters of the show.
Thank you.
And we got some more cool upgrades to the show coming soon that we'll let everybody know about. Yeah.
Let's look at this. Let's look at this puppy.
Okay.
It smells like fresh plastic.
Got that new mic smell.
Oh,
yeah.
I just unsheathed. I undressed it.
Easy now.
Ooh. Wow.
Wow, nice.
Hello.
It's not plugged in.
Can you hear me?
I mean, yes.
Wow. So this means my voice is going to sound less processed, right? It's going to sound more clear to what I sound like in real life.
And it will even help filter out some of those wonderful siren and trash can noises that we hear from your apartment sometimes.
I know. City
Should
living.
I have said that on stream? No, I'm kidding. We all have different issues.
Or the hot dog guy that jingles his bell as he goes up my alley. Like, are you getting that much business every day from going down my alley?
It's so true. I don't think she has the screaming neighbor children. I think that's Jeff who has the screaming children occasionally.
Katie also has some loud downstairs neighbors.
Katie also lives next to a fairly busy street, so it often sounds like Lily Dumblestuck is coming to us from like in the middle of a crime scene.
Can I do this?
Yes! Oh,
look at
that's
this mouse pad.
This is not available in the merch store yet, but it is something. It is our beautiful map of Ein on a mouse pad. Be on the lookout for that coming soon. I know. Well, yeah. It's Dumblestuck sized. It's about 2.5, 3 feet tall.
So this is gonna be my new mouse pad for my
beautiful
desk, so I can always think of the dungeon run.
Very nice.
As if I don't already.
You're always lost in Ein. Yay. Cool. Well, all right. Let's see. What else? So what else? I mean, this episode, we didn't have a fight this episode because we just had like a massive fight the previous episode. But I really loved episode 94 for the amount of both just character and story that we were able to get across in the hour, in the few hours that we had.
Yeah.
I mean, I think I texted Jeff after the fact that I was sort of like, your story that you've crafted is so complex that I feel like we have massive breakthroughs, and yet there's still so much more. You know, like this felt like I as James had been doing some homework in between the episodes where I was like going back to episode 62 when we get to the when we see what's in the treasure, because I wanted to refresh my memory as to what should be in Whitebeard's vault, and all that stuff. And going back to all of our conversations with the Sea Hag, I went back and wrote those down, just remembering what she said. I've got even more thoughts about that.
I don't know if I don't have the Sea Hag stuff on my online notes, I don't think, but I have Griselda.
I'm gonna break it out. Here we go. Let's talk about this for a second.
I think I feel like I did write it down though. Maybe you wrote it down. That's what I'm remembering.
This is what she said about the treasure. I believe it's in episode 40.
Oh, wait, hold on.
5?
I'm gonna write this down right now. Sea Hag prophecy. Which,
by the way, we also learned what her name might be. We don't know for sure. It's Griselda, Esmeralda, and Zelda are the 3 hags. We know there's a third sister that we have not met yet, so I guess we can probably assume that Esmeralda is the Sea Hag?
I'm seeing Whisper, Josephine, and Shafrika say Zelda. Why do you think Zelda for the Sea Hag? It could be Zelda or Esmeralda.
Right? Because it's not been specified either way. Griselda, Esmeralda, and Zelda. Which maybe that would be too convenient that the 2 we've met are the first 2 and the third one is the unknown one that we haven't met yet.
Yeah.
The Legend of Zelda. Someone should make a game called that. Anyway.
Great idea.
This is what she said around, I feel like it was episode 45 or 46, when we met her for the first time, and she's talking about the treasure. A cachet as unto a queen, a hoard as unto a beast, a treasure as unto a god, but all who seek godhood are cursed. Just ask the one who achieved it. What does that mean?
Cursed.
Now, here's the thing. A treasure as unto a god, but all who seek godhood are cursed. I'm wondering, so I used to think, when I heard this at the time, all right, spoilers. Not really spoilers, because this is all just theories, and I could be wrong. I originally thought that, because he refers to Sea Hag refers to a she a couple times, and all who seek godhood are cursed. Just ask the one who achieved it.
Where do you see this she reference?
This is later. The she comes up when James asks her specifically when we were rescuing her. Here we go. Regress is as powerful a promise as progress. There are those for who time is a plaything. And then she had... There's you and she. There's a reference to James and this other person.
Okay.
Now...
What does it say specifically?
I don't have all of it here. This is in the... It's during the now infamous halfling fight.
Yes.
I think... Boy, is he talking about... Is Esmeralda or Zelda, is the Sea Hag talking about Frisia Paul?
In reference to what?
In reference to this person who sought godhood. And all who seek godhood are cursed. Just ask the one who achieved it.
My first thought actually went to the Cyclone Warden.
I don't... Maybe.
Because I just think that she broke away from the Wardens and did something crazy.
Maybe. Or... The other thought I had, when he first said this, I thought my first thought went to Calcutta Theed. Of course, when you tell me a mysterious she, first instinct is Calcutta Theed. But the more I think about it, the more I think Calcutta Theed might be too obvious an answer. Also, Calcutta Theed may have been around 22 years ago when the Sea Hag was talking, but I don't know if she was yet the woman the powerful woman that she becomes.
But that doesn't matter. Time doesn't really matter to a hag.
It's a good point. The other big possibility of who it might be is the Shazengao Queen, the Dragonborn Queen, who we know is still alive and is now, over 300 years old.
You think she sought godhood? A cache as unto a queen, a hoard as unto a beast.
It is technically her treasure. Because it was the treasure of the Shazengao as being held by the Tritons that Cho Ron told us about and said, I know where it is, you can go get it. So this treasure belonged to the Shazengao. So the queen in question is the Shazengao queen. I don't know if we've ever gotten her name. It might be in episode 6. I don't know if it's there.
I did have her name somewhere.
We dove right so heavy into lore today. People, are we enjoying this right now, or should we stick more general? Jessica, but this is what happens when Jessica and I talk is we love just picking apart the finer points of everything ein. Lore Day! That's right, Cyberlogic. Lore explosion, Jafrikas.
Where is
All right, good.
I definitely wrote her name down somewhere. I forgot where. I think it's in our text thread deep somewhere. Yeah, another lore another piece of lore that we discussed was the sword hilt and how it relates to Jaspen's story. This is something that Morgan and I went back to months ago at this point, and we went back and watched the episode and wrote down the journal, wrote down the story, I should say. Mm-hmm. And I thought this whole time, this is just an incorrect assumption that I made, that the hilt had something to do with this sword, because the sword was found...
Jeff did not say no. I think you could still be onto something. Jeff did not say no to this when you asked him. He just refused to clarify, which is a little bit of a clue unto itself.
So what it says is...
This is the story. So you call it Jaspen's story. It was in the book.
The Heroes and the Dragon.
And the Castle Rum.
Yes. Correct. So, blah, blah, blah. They get through the door. They enter the dragon's lair. Gold, a floor of silver, hoards of riches, chests and chalices. Then they see the dragon, eerily, teeth, jagged and sharp, eerily translucent like shards of glass. They bestruck the sub-celestial beast that caused a shriek so horrid. They felled the magnificent dragon. They were able to retrieve the object of their brazen endeavor, the sword, its gleam resplendent and true, its power beyond imagining. No sooner had the heroes laid their hands on its wondrous hilt, but they lost their grip, and it fell clanging to the silver floor with a great and terrible ringing.
Mm-hmm. I mean, we don't know that that's not the Godslayer. In fact, whatever sword, if this is, and this is just a guess too, if this is the death of Nonezeron that this story tells, then the sword, I mean, you know, I feel like the only thing that could kill Nonezeron might be that sword. I'm not sure.
So if the Godslayer killed Nonezeron, then...
Cypher Logic says, boy, if we could still talk to Diptheed, we could maybe figure out who the first Sky Child was. We know who the first Sky Child was. Boom, I do. It's Osira, the child of Miras' Blue. Got it for you. And also, Diptheed was answering 0 questions for us by the end, so I take issue with that.
We tried. So, okay.
Diptheed did not like us by the end, so don't act like we could have still got answers out of her.
Do we think it's likely that there's 2 bad... Can I say... badass? That's PG-13, right?
You already did. It's okay.
We got 2 badass swords in the
fine.
story. We got a Godslayer and then another sword.
I mean, it's all. Was it you that said one episode? They're like, well, how many swords can there really be in Legends? And we all went like, a lot.
Yeah.
But it obviously has a ring to it. So a mention of a sword, it's not for sure, but it definitely feels like that could be the same sword. Totally.
At the end of the story.
That's right. The sword that kills the dragon. Could be this sword.
The sword that kills the dragon is not the same sword that they find.
What?
They find the sword after they fell the dragon. So whatever they used to kill the dragon...
Okay.
Because it says, having felled the magnificent dragon, the champions were able to retrieve the object of their brazen endeavor.
Oh.
The sword.
Okay, sorry, I missed that part. Go ahead.
No, I did too. There was a couple episodes ago where James and Fahima were on the same page. We were both saying,
right.
oh, is this the sword that was used to kill Nonezeron? But going back into the exact wording of the story...
The dragon was guarding the sword.
Yes.
Interesting.
So that's why I'm saying I don't know if there's 2 different... crazy swords.
And the 5 heroes, before they were the wardens, they did seem to be working in conjunction with the Shahs and Gao. So if they got that sword, if the five of them got that sword, it makes sense that it would end up in the hands of the Shahs and Gao, because the wardens don't need that big ass that big sword. The wardens don't need that giant Godslayer blade because they're huge now. So it does make sense that sword would end up in the treasure of the Shahs and Gao, where we found it in episode 62, and then again this week.
So we got 2 things that are a bit confusing to me as a player who doesn't have enough information yet, right? Which is, we still don't know exactly why... I don't know why this treasure chest was alone in this vault. Like, why was that left? Such a powerful item was left alone. And that makes me think about the amulet and how that was left alone in the Dragon's Lair in the beginning of the story.
It could be as simple as Whitebeard just saw a broken sword and didn't know what to do with it. Or remember, this could be an interesting thing too. Remember that Civ was trying to convince Whitebeard that the treasure could be cursed?
True.
And also that was actually backed up by something that the Sea Hag said that was like almost seemed to imply as if it was cursed. So,
but that was to all of the treasure, right? So maybe in his mind he was like, "Yeah, I'm gonna take my chances on the money.
Yeah,
the stuff I know I can sell, but this weird chest."
Maybe there's a reason, or maybe there's a reason that it was left specifically for us, or I'm not sure. Maybe Whitebeard just thought it was whatever.
The key was left conspicuously on top of the chest.
That's right.
That felt like a trap to me.
The silver key was part of that story in the Castle Room too, wasn't it? There was mention of a silver key. Whisper Josephine says Whitebeard isn't always the brightest bulb in the chandelier.
Yes!
Yikes.
Yes, Morgan! Okay. The heroes approach the dragon's lair. Having sought in vain peaceable admission, they reach the inner sanction I think I wrote this down wrong. To the use of the silver key.
Okay. With the use of a silver key.
Yeah.
Got it.
That's
all
it.
Ringing a bell.
That's
Got
it. And then the silver floor.
Keep reading that.
Okay. They reach the inner sanction.
Sanctum.
Sanctum. Oh, yeah, sanctum. I probably wrote this really fast.
It's okay.
But the heroes now faced an impassable blockade. The dwarf lifted one of his mighty hammers and struck at the plankings of the door, making room for his gauntleted hand. He began pulling sturdily at the wood, ripping and tearing the door asunder. Sound so loud and sharp it echoed throughout the cave. The good champions now able to enter the dragon's lair. Ba-da-da-da.
Okay, and then they killed the dragon and found the sword.
Yes.
Okay.
And these heroes, we're assuming are the five, the mighty five.
I think we have very good. I mean, it mentions the dwarf and his hammer. That could be in it, but it definitely sounds like.
Who else would it be?
Yeah, right, exactly. It sounds like our boy, the Storm Warden, who I'm blanking on his name right now at this moment. But yeah, I think. Oh, and then I saw some mentioning of the chest itself. The interesting point about the chest, which the skull of the Aarakocra.
Yes.
So let's dive back.
Let's talk about the Aarakocra.
I don't remember what episode it was. I think it was after Sky Scorcher Peak. It was the Warden vision after we freed the not the Cyclone Warden, the Water Warden.
Typhoon?
I'm blanking on Typhoon Warden. Thank you. And so I think it was that vision where it was the four of them holding Osira after Mirasis Blue just gave birth to her, and then the Aarakocra came out of the sky and they handed Osira to the Aarakocra and they took her away.
Yeah, this is something that I just got information from you, I think, after the fact, since Fahima was not there.
Oh, that's right.
I wasn't there for this.
That's right. I forgot you weren't there for that. Because you were hanging with your pal.
Yeah, just no big deal. Hanging out with the Ashen Mage. 3 Aarakocra arrived, took the baby, and flew away, swearing to protect her.
Yep.
Defend her with their lives.
And now, if you combine that with the relief that we saw in the 4 former forges, I don't know. I never know what to call the 4 former forges anymore because there are 5, so you can't call them the 5 former forges. I guess you can call them the 5 former forges. The forges, the relief in the forges of the children ascending to the sky, and I think that was very clearly and that was connected to the Mirasis statue, and so I think that was very clear that they became the sky child. That Mirasis is most likely the first sky child.
Because she was flown up into the air.
Right, by the Aarakocra.
Just really quick.
Yes.
I want to talk about what could be the craziest out there theory. Uh-huh. Just spitballing. What's the deal? What's the deal with the Aarakocra, with Mirasis' daughter, with Conroy?
Mm-hmm. Conroy, to me, is a giant question mark in the middle of all this. We don't know yet. We know that he is a mysterious figure kind of working his way through this. And I'll still go back to the dream spell that you had with him where he was deliberately withholding so much information from you. And I was like, dude, Dad, you're a secret keeper yourself, man. Like where you were.
Conroy, question mark.
Yeah, that is how you must spell Conroy's name from C question mark O question mark N question mark, so on and so on.
All right, so we got one crazy theory from JD Illustrates. Fahima is Mirasis' daughter. So, how does that happen? Osira.
Yes.
Gets flown up with the Aarakocra. Conroy is maybe already there because he is that he does that, like he is.
That would make. But that was 300 years ago. That would make Conroy very old. And he said, but could happen, could be true, because what was his response to how much time did he spend with the Aarakocra? A lifetime.
A lifetime. We don't have a timeline on that.
Nope.
So, okay, this is crazy theory time. So, Conroy is already there. He's secretly an elf or something, or maybe also a genasi. I don't know.
But he spent how long now on the ground in Ain and has not become a drow if he is an elf.
True. That is very true. Hold on.
I know. Wow. You got a massive construction going on there. But no.
I live right outside the dumpsters. So
I
that's
see that.
why that happens.
International man of mystery, Conroy Tighe.
He does speak Elvish, and Fahima speaks Elvish, so that's a big point. Like he did have close encounters with elves.
That's massive, because no one even knew the elves existed for years. Like, remember, if you go back to episode 6, Miris's Blue, it was established that Miris's Blue was the last of her kind. She was the last elf. And
I didn't remember that she was the only. I guess I assumed that there might be somewhere out there somewhere.
Maybe there were, but I'm fairly certain one of the things that the Shazengao Queen goes through when she's introducing everybody, is one of the things she says about Conroy to Theed. It's very funny. And one of the things that was said about Miris's Blue when she was being introduced was that, like, her people had died during the war. Now, I don't know if that means all the elves, and that means that every single drow is descended from Miris's Blue. Could be, I guess. I don't know.
I did see another crazy theory in here.
Sure.
Let me go back up. From Seeking 137. My wild theory: Fahima is the result of a wish spell by the Ashen Mage. Hot take.
Maybe.
I think that's really cool. I think that based on what we know about the Ashen Mage so far, her downfall, her weakness is her hubris. And so I think that she would have made mention of that somehow. There would have been a hint to that.
Yeah. Yeah. No, I mean, I think the Ashen Mage obviously knows something about you, about Fahima. But I don't know. I don't know. I think we can get too bogged down in trying to put the Ashen Mage at the center of all of this. I honestly don't think she is. I think she's a reactionary force who is kind of doing some manipulating of her own, definitely, but is also in some ways possibly being manipulated into causing this whole situation. I think where Mirasis / the Cyclone Warden is now is a massive question, because as we know, and this was another thing of that vision that you weren't there for. I know I told you this, but just to remind you, she was the only one of the 5 wardens who rejected the memory loss.
Yeah.
So all 4 of them took, and she was the one because she could not bear forgetting her daughter, forgetting Osira, who had been taken away from her. And I think she even cried that out. She said, I won't forget her," or something, something very close to that wording. And so then the 4 wardens set about protecting all of Ayn. Then where did Mirasis go? She's still a warden.
Yeah.
That's the thing. Door 20 roll, the Ashen Mage is Mirasis Blue. If she is, that means that the Ashen Mage found a way to de-warden herself, which I don't know why she would do that.
That would be tough to justify because Fahima embodied Mirasis Blue, and she spent intimate time with the Ashen Mage. I think that she would have made that connection. I mean, I guess Jeff could be like, pull the mask off, I've been the Mirasis Blue the whole time. But I think there would be at least some kind of like hints. There could be hints that we're missing, but
I think it's a better possibility that the Ashen Mage is Osira.
Yes.
That to me would make more sense.
Yes. Ooh, goosebumps.
I don't know if that's true.
I also had a new thought, if I may.
Go ahead.
I was just going back and rereading for the 100th time the Griselda prophecy, and you must hide what you are. They cannot know you are the daughter of a wish. I've always took that to mean a wish is my mother. What if my mother is the result of a wish? And I am a bit more organic than I thought I was.
What if Conroy is the genie? That just blow your mind a little bit?
Well, I don't know if genies exist in this world. I think Jeff's been pretty explicit about how the wish itself is a thing, and I think the genie aspect of this is made up. I think it's a story that Conroy made up. That's my personal opinion.
That could be.
So if I was born, say Mirasis
Conroy,
made a wish.
but there's something weird and otherworldly about Conroy. I don't think he's just a human dude.
He can't be.
I don't think he can be at this point. There's too much about him.
So say
he's
Mirasis,
definitely sus. I agree, Rabbit Attack Coat.
Say Mirasis made a wish to save Osira. Mm-hmm. Then that would still make me the daughter of a wish if I was the daughter of Osira.
I guess. Why? I mean, I guess Mirasis could have the power of a wish.
But again, this is all like it's so far down the line, but I feel like staying aware of this as like the greater arc here is important because
yes.
It's a good reminder that there are people at play like the Ashen Mage and Urtenfurt and Yanmo and the wars that are happening in Ain, but there is this kind of like greater magical war that is happening, and we haven't even touched on perhaps the most important thing that happened last episode, which is the lore drop about Frisia Paul.
Yep.
Fresha Paul?
Frisia. I think we were just joking because we actually had to make sure that we were pronouncing it correctly because the only way we heard Frisia Paul's name was through Fetch's voice last episode. Yeah. So we were texting Jeff before the cooldown going, is this what her name is? Just making sure. Yes, we had definitely had different ideas as to what her name could have been, but it's hard to tell when Hermil Fetch is the first person saying that person's name. Because God love him, he's got a weird voice. Frisia Paul, who is the James before James, who kind of gave into the dark power that the old ones were offering, and was used and manipulated and turned into a demon and then destroyed.
I loved that story. Oof,
oh, yeah.
It's so good.
Oh yeah,
I love that.
Shothi's ex Jafrikas. Yeah, that's good. Yeah, no, and so that's where my mind went back to go back to the Sea Hags, which if this is the case, if Jeff was planting the seed of Frisia Paul 50 episodes ago, bravo. But all who seek godhood are cursed. Just ask the one who achieved it.
Okay, so keeping that in mind, I want to talk about the timeline here, because the end of this, from what I have written down, is the wardens turned back her patron. So the wardens were wardens at this time.
They were around, right? So this would have been post forget,
right? Which is like kind of mind-boggling to me. Mm-hmm. So because I guess in some sense I thought that erasing the memory of the world was to erase the memory of how to bring back the old ones. But we have old ones after the war.
Well, I think making everyone forget doesn't eliminate the old ones. It just makes it harder for them to get through. And so that's I don't think the two are unrelated. I do think that going back to the obelisk that we found underneath the castle, or found underneath the lighthouse, which had the sun, the moon, and the abyss on it, is a very clear connection to the old ones being on the other side of the War of Ideas. Now,
the other side of from the Wardens.
That's right. Because if we go back to episode 6, who the Wardens were fighting in that final battle were those armies of the sun and moon who each had dragons. Now, the old ones. Are
they gods? I think they're more so than Wardens. I think we would have to say they're gods to kind of tie it into those who seek godhood.
They could be. They could be gods. They could be gods or demigods. Basically, at that point, you're just kind of splitting hairs. Yes, as far as like who has more, because there was, I think Jeff even mentioned it, like talk about like warring between the gods and the old ones. Yeah.
Between the gods and the old ones? Mm-hmm. That's a verb. That's verbiage that's used?
Something like that. And then if you remember what Braca said to James in their one-on-one Silence of the Lambsy conversation, because when James asked Braca, why do the old ones want you dead? He talked about this kind of tug of war of believers, and having believers makes deities or demigods more powerful.
I guess I always thought the wardens were sort of gods in a way, but they're like man-made gods.
Yeah, they're
not
tools.
real gods.
They're tools of the gods and of the people. Yeah.
Yeah.
Because they were created by the Shahs of Gao and by all the people to try to save them and protect Ain. Yeah.
Created by the Shahs and Gao.
Pretty much.
Shahs and
I mean,
Gao.
not just the Shahs and Gao, because if you go back to episode 6, it feels like everybody is there. It feels like it's the Shahs and Gao in the lead, but all of Ain had representatives there. Remember, it was the dwarves, it was the elves, it was the humans. It was there was a dragonborn. Civ's the Quake Warden is a dragonborn. Yeah.
We gotta find Ereban.
Yes, which the way to find Ereban feels like is finding the Dragonborn Queen.
And getting to her means we need to go to the grave and give her something that she wants.
Probably.
And I still don't know. Bone out there somewhere.
I know. I think the grave. I still don't quite know what the grave of Nonezaron will have for us, but I think it's obviously incredibly important. It was Vic's last words.
Well, Torvald told Fahima that something from the grave might be the only thing that the queen will want in exchange for information.
Interesting.
Yeah,
but that's it's also seemed to be something that gave Calcutta Theed some of her power. Maybe it's where she.
Only if we. I mean, I think that's a great assumption. Wait, what? Say it.
Is that where she got the dragon scale?
From the grave?
Yeah.
Well, the dragon scale was. Where did we get the dragon scale originally?
We got the dragon scale in the chest in the Ashen Mage's Tower. When you opened it, I wasn't there. I was there for the first half of the show. When you opened the chest, a demon flew out, and inside the chest was also a dragon scale.
And then we left it on the side of the road for the sun dragon to.
That's correct, because we didn't want the sun dragon to kill us.
You think she got it from the grave?
Maybe. That's a guess.
But
because if you remember,
the grave thing right in front of her.
She did, but because she knew she was about to die, so she didn't have any other chance.
So you would think that by that logic, the Ashen Mage would go straight to the grave and get anything else that she didn't want us to have.
No idea. That's a guess. But remember, there was something else in Nonezaron's speech about the alternate timeline that didn't happen. Mm-hmm. Was if one of the things that never would have happened would have been that the Ashen Mage never would have had a scale pact. I remember the words scale pact with the dragons, which seemed to imply a trading of scales, because that makes sense then that we found that scale in the Ashen Mage's Tower outside of Winkberg.
What could she get from a scale pact?
No idea. I mean, well...
The ability to be above ground?
Possibly. That's an interesting idea. But even more importantly, the cooperation of the dragons. Because remember who we saw fighting on top of Sky Scorcher Peak. Who was fighting the Wardens was dozens of dragons. What? I still remember Jeff's words. Dozens of dragons.
That's wild. I did not remember that detail.
Wild. It was the Wardens fighting army of hodgepodges and dragons blotting out the sky.
So is that fight happened and is now over?
That's correct. And the Wardens survived. At least the two of them did.
Okay.
Three. That was because the Typhoon Warden was freed, and that was the Inferno and the Storm Warden fighting at the top.
The ones that we had freed.
That's correct.
Yes.
Where D&D equals dozens of dragons. That's correct. Yes. Okay. We have more questions to answer, and they're going to take us into. I know, because we have been deep lore driving. I think, Jessica, we may need to make this a monthly.
It's a lore discussion.
Is you and me just doing conspiracy theories? Let's programming note. Programming thought. Make a thought. Okay. Let's see. From Kildurin 75080 to you, Fahima. I was wondering if Fahima was at all worried about the demon activity in her hometown. I'm not sure that's ever been broached. People thought in chat that Fahima was sort of a recluse in the town and thus was not concerned. I don't think that's true. I think Fahima was very concerned about Axbright. You're the one who keeps wanting us to go back there.
Yeah, I guess I'm not specifically worried about demons in Axbright because, yeah, we just haven't really talked about it yet. Yeah, I probably should be worried about that because it is... Let me just take a look at my map. It is... just
a little bit north of Turles.
Yeah, it's pretty close.
It's like a day trip.
Yeah, so... What was it? The recluse. Like, is she concerned about the people? Yeah, well, she was.
Are you worried because we know that the demons seem to be ravaging the countryside no matter where they are?
Yeah, she was a recluse. She didn't have many friends, but that doesn't mean she's not concerned because I think what I will do is kind of journal about the people of of my hometown. I do already have a journal about a couple of folks in Axbright.
Nice.
But yeah, I guess it's that's also a big question mark for me, Axbright, because it's just a regular old town.
Right.
Like there's no real politics happening there like there is in Turles and Olsvach and Thorn and you know, it doesn't have the tourism of Bingle. It is just a plain old little town where nothing really happens.
You say that now. We'll see what happens when we get there. By the way, Unknown Axiom, I see your suggestion for the name of our lore dive show. Newt, the dungeon go down the rabbit hole.
It's a bit of a mouthful, but I think we can make it work.
I know. Maybe we can make it work. Yeah, I think if anything, this will lead us back into our deep conspiracy conversation. I think if anything, the fact that we now know that the Ashen Mage was stopping Conroy from communicating with you.
Yes.
Tells us a couple things. One, the Ashen Mage has had her eye on you for a long time. Mm-hmm. Before we knew you, that's for certain. Mm-hmm. The other thing is that the Ashen Mage and Conroy not on the same side. So, I think we knew that Conroy wasn't a bad guy necessarily. He just seems like a very mysterious guy, and he's not given up his answers anytime soon. But I think that very clearly puts the Ashen Mage and Conroy on separate sides.
Yes. Well, unless there's some big time manipulation and lying happening, which is always a possibility for anything. But if we're gonna read it as written.
I don't see that.
Yeah, I agree.
I don't see that. I think Conroy genuinely wants to be Fahima's father.
Yeah. Oh, we've always played him as having really genuine love for Fahima.
And by the Ashen Mage doing what she did about keeping you isolated and making it, she was quickening the process of you going out on your own, going out on the road, going out where you're unprotected so that she can get a hold of you, basically. That's besides that, I don't know what else there is to learn about Axbright. We'll see. I mean, besides all of the stuff about Fahima's upbringing, and there's more details there, I'm sure, and that's always fascinating to go see one of our hometowns.
Yeah, I mean, the only point of interest thus far, I think, is just Fahima's house, because in the basement of her house was this like giant technical menagerie. Mm-hmm. So yeah, I definitely want to go because I want to see. But
I think it'll hopefully also teach us some things about Conroy, because as we've just been saying, Conroy is super mysterious and ain't telling anybody anything. What if Conroy is the keeper of secrets?
No.
Yeah, you're Lord A's daughter.
No.
I'm just kidding. Maybe I'm kidding. Brigarian had asked, does every hometown have an obelisk in or near it? No, I think it's been established now that maybe there are only 3 obelisks in all of Ain. There's one on the Isle of Rum. There was one in Thorn, and there's one to the west.
In Pash.
Yeah. In Pash, well, no, we don't know that it's Pash.
Oh yeah, that's true. Towards Pash.
It's probably out closer towards the wastelands out to the west. I'm forgetting the name of them. The
Dester,
Savagery.
The Savagery, the Ankle.
I think it was implied that the savagery, the terribleness of the savagery, is possibly a result of some of the negative, old one energy coming out of that area. Interesting.
Okay, do you have another question from the Patreon?
Yes. Okay, one thing we haven't talked at all about last episode was the really gorgeous and heartfelt conversation between you and Civ.
Yeah, alcoholism.
And I thought it was such a fascinating conversation, and Civ had felt like a little bit of an elephant in the room lately. I think part of it is we're all 5 characters are dealing with different hard things right now, and we, I think, need to come together better than we have been. And I really enjoyed that whole scene, but I thought it was handled really fascinatingly. And Dr. Sparks asks, what does Fahima think about Civ pointing out both of their addiction problems?
I loved that. I loved when Civ bit back. I was like, ooh, yes, give it to me. Twist the knife. I love that he had that response in his pocket, and I mean, it was perfect to deflect like that and say, oh, you have a problem too. It was very, very real to anybody, I think, who's dealing with addiction. And I tried to handle it. Fahima tried to handle it the way that I think I would in real life, which is to validate your feelings, to show support, and to not say you're doing anything wrong, because I don't think that's going to help anything. But I do think that that we can't just let a character continue to have a drinking problem, right? Like, this is something that's poisoning him. So I think it needed to be addressed. And
I think Civ is doing some very clear cries for help. And it's certain some of his actions are, and I think we all have a fair amount of guilt about how Olsvach went. Especially every time we made Thorn better by the time we were done. We're trying to make Turles better by the time we leave. And there's still this black mark on our record of what happened in Olsvach and how we had to leave it. And we got some stuff out of there for sure, but that place is in bad shape. And we don't necessarily know quite what to do about it yet. And I think we have some guilt about that. And I think we're all, Dr. Sparks also pointed out, he feels like James could have also used a similar talk. Do you think that both James and Fahima should be more honest with themselves about the addictive nature of their powers and how to have a more healthy relationship with power?
Well, I think it's fascinating to see the different ways that James and Fahima deal with very similar things. I think that how I've been playing Fahima is kind of, I think in comparison, you can correct me if I'm wrong about this, or just express your opposing opinion, but I think that James is really aware. He has a lot of self-awareness, and knows that it's wrong, but tries to do the right thing, and has at times succumbed to it. Whereas I feel that Fahima is not as self-aware. She can be sometimes, but I think that she really can fall victim more easily to to the power, the allure of power.
I see that, and I think James's own issues with it. James is self-aware. James knows he has issues, and he's kind of in denial, but also kind of just, as I've said many times, James thinks his days are numbered.
Which is opposite of Fahima.
Right, and so he's just sucking the marrow out of life, as they say in Dead Poets Society. At this point he has reached I do not care. I mean, I'm gonna keep doing the best I can with this. If you're gonna kill me, old ones, do it. Because I'm not gonna stop, and I'm not gonna do what you tell me to just to save my own skin.
How do you feel that Fahima differs from James?
I think I what makes me fearful about Fahima is I wonder about her awareness of there is a part of her that is just kind of thrill seeking and is just doing this because it's cool and doing this because she can, and it's the right thing to do because she'll save the party, but it's just kind of like, whoa, do you realize how close to death you were? And I just kind of, you just want a little more awareness from Fahima on that. I don't know, it's necessarily like you shouldn't be doing this bad, and James is not the person to be to be like judging Fahima or saying you shouldn't be doing X or Y, because I think he knows he's a terrible influence. Probably he looks at himself and he's like, oh gosh, and this this will go back to the dad zone conversation. I've said this before, but it really is. In that moment when Fahima says to James, you remind me of my dad, and he realizes how she's looking up to him, I knew in that moment that was gonna suck, because James is a terrible example, and he has so many, and he knows he has issues, and so he is self-aware of it in that way. He is choosing to push past them most of the time because he doesn't have time. We'll focus on me later. This is. I mean, I'll be honest. This is where James and Morgan are very similar. I am guilty in the past of focusing on the day to day too much and just coming at what's in front of me and just go, and then weeks will pass and I will be out of my mind, anxiety. I will be stressed, exhausted, all of this stuff, but I will just be like, see the next thing in front of me, just keep going, and then I will like build up this anger of like, why did this happen to me? Why did I get annoyed? And so that's playing the James's doesn't want to focus on himself. Okay, I'm becoming a demon. All right, this is weird and it sucks, but we got to keep moving because I'm probably going to be dead any day now. So I need to get this done and do what I can.
And that is a bad example.
To home. Yeah, it hits close to home for me too, Seeking. I try to make James as personal as I can, and there are some pieces of him that are very close to me. And that is one of them. The ignoring what you need for yourself because you just got more things to do. The to-do list is not getting any shorter, so, and especially
Fahima sees that. Fahima sees that happening, and you're right. It is a bad influence on her because she's like, okay, cool. Dad figure is sacrificial and is just doing his own thing no matter the circumstances. So I will too.
There is this real conflict with James that I've said before, that he's never had friends like this before in his life, which is amazing. But the irony is that he's a ticking time bomb, and he knows he is. And so the irony of that he has drawn these people closer to him when he feels like the possibility of him hurting them in some way. It's going up and up and up. It's sad. It is sad. But it's, so I do
wonder
think
if this is a repeated pattern for James from his own childhood. Is this something that James maybe experienced as a child?
Yeah, I think so. I mean, I think, what the heck? I mean, being a child of divorce, I was for a long time trying to be just as the peacekeeper and trying to be as easy as possible. And don't worry about me, I got it, And so I isolated myself in ways by just being as easy as possible. I was just an easy kid. And what ends up happening is when people think you're easy, they're like, okay, he's got it, I'll leave him alone. And I think James and Morgan are very similar in that way. I think James felt ignored and felt isolated for a very long time, and he just became an old version of himself and was just kind of like, I got this. Don't worry about me. I'll be good at this library thing, and it'll be fine. Don't worry about me.
This is where D&D is therapy.
Yep, 100%.
I wanted to touch a little bit on the conversation where Civ was like, why do you always throw yourself into melee? Why do you put yourself in danger? I don't want you to die. And I don't really have much more to say on that other than what she said on screen, but I just want to say that I think it's really cool that whether or not it's been luck or on purpose or whatever strategy, Fahima has repeatedly thrown herself into melee into really dangerous circumstances, and she's always come out alive.
Yeah.
She's by the skin of her teeth, 3 hit points, 5 hit points. She's been given these spells like water shape and invisibility and polymorph that will allow her to get out at the last second.
Yeah.
Knock on wood, knock on all of the wood around me. But I just want to say I appreciate that's happened, because I think it plays so well into the nature of her character.
Right.
Like if Jeff could have somehow planned that, obviously you can never plan that kind of thing. If he could have somehow planned that, that would be so in line with a character who is made of a wish. So this character who does not know the bounds of her own existence and somehow always persists.
It's a really fascinating take on the kind of the chosen one, like mythos or whatever, because I think Fahima has been told she's special for a long time, and so, and this part of like wanting to test that and go like, yeah, I am special. Watch this, and so I think almost the arc with Fahima is bringing her down to earth a little bit and going like, yeah, but you're not immortal, kid. Like you need to take it a little easy sometimes. And
that did happen in a big way with the Ashen Age. She is much more aware of the dangers of the world. Yeah. And she came close to death with, Zanelka. So that was definitely humbling for her.
Yeah. All right, I know we're nearing the end. There's 2 more questions that kind of work in together. Prowan from the Realm and Madame Mouse 3 had questions about when James is rid of his patron, has the thought struck now with Uggo without 6 levels of Barbarian, what James would do without his Warlock levels?
Great question.
There's questions for me where Morgan the player might know what he would do, but I have ideas. I have ideas for different builds of James whenever this happens. Again, I will point out that we still, in our game, we have made it very, we can't just make it, well, James is going to take a level of Ranger next thing. We just can't do that. It's like James has this pact that he can't get out of. And so I think until we...
Pact with a different god.
Maybe. I mean, but even though I don't think Shathragat is going to just give it up.
God fight.
I know. Let's have them fight it out. We'll just hang back.
You should get the Sun Dragon to be your patron.
Oh sure, that sounds good.
We don't know that
the Sun Dragon's good. They seem questionable at best. And then Madame Mouse 3 is, would James keep his patronage even at the sake of becoming a full fiend if he knew his power could aid the other heroes?
Ooh, great question.
I mean, I think we're seeing that right now. I think James will continue to push it to the brink, until he loses. And I've said it before, but I think I need to continue to make it clear with everybody, with the rest of the party. I'm gonna keep pushing this, and if we can do something about it, great. But if we can't, and I become a demon, I need you all to keep an eye on me, and take me out.
Yeah. I mean, you're just gonna turn into Frisia, You're what happens to her? It doesn't say exactly what she did. She just became... He
said she was corrupted and then destroyed, I think, yeah.
She was banished and obliterated.
Yeah.
So, what if you turn into a full Old One demon and then the Wardens feel the need to take you out again and we have to defend you against the Wardens? Oh my God.
I don't think we can let it get that far. But here's the other thing. What solutions do we have for James's problem right now? Going to this far realm, going to the void and saying, hey, stop that, Shathragat? I mean, I don't know how realistic that is. And James will resist doing it if it will mean putting off more important things. James is also the type of guy, it's like, yes, James knows he's important, but also if it's between saving him and saving, the rest of the world, he's like, keep going, save the rest of the world, don't worry about me.
I really don't I really hope you don't have to use the Godslayer. We don't have to use the Godslayer sword to defend you against the wardens. That would be
Oh God,
really,
no.
really tough.
Hopefully not. Hopefully not. But no, I think it's. I've said to Jeff, one of the things that I think needs to be part of James's arc is that it can't be. It has to be like an honestly, like, he needs to keep being realized, like, if he keeps going down this path, he will lose his humanity, and that is exactly what's happening.
Yeah, I'm sure we'll arrive at some plot points that help us kind of like navigate that.
We're building some clues. We're definitely building some clues. I see G. Westbrook really wants us to talk about the hilt. We did talk about the hilt.
In the very beginning, we did.
For a long time.
I do want to say, though, quickly, that
yes.
I think it's likely that the sword will be wielded by a melee fighter, like Uggo and Civ. Fahima does want to wield that sword, selfishly.
Awesome.
Not to say that she ever would, but Conroy wielding the sword in the vision, she definitely wants to wield that sword, even though it makes no sense.
Yeah.
I think that'd be awesome.
I saw some questions too. Ron did take, I don't think this is giving it, Ron did take a level 4 of Paladin, so he has 4 levels of Paladin now, and I could be corrected, I believe he took an ability score improvement instead of a feat, so we are still without Sentinel. Yikes, look out for that in upcoming fights.
Well, when does that happen, level 5?
No, Sentinel is a feat that you have to take, and Ron chose to increase his stats rather than take Sentinel again.
Oh, and that just happened.
Got it. Sentinel saved Civ's life once. You're absolutely right, Cypher Logic, and I think it probably saved a couple of our lives more than once. Let's see. The other question we haven't broached at all is, what did the magic in Civ's eyes mean?
Oh, yes. I mean, I rolled a natural 20, so I'm hoping that pays off at some point.
Here, I think.
But is he taking a level in something else?
No, if I had to guess, I think it's his next, because his next level is 3rd level of fighter, if he wants to take a level of fighter. And so, Eldritch Knight?
That makes sense.
Could be right. That's my guess.
Yeah.
I don't know. I did say, did you go Bard? because it happened after he delivered this, the poem, that amazing poem. And so I was like, wait a minute, what? But Jeff scared the crap out of me, because the way he did that was exactly what he does every time James gets pulled into a conversation with Shothraghat. And I was like, no, but it wasn't that.
They could be making up their own fighter subclass, like a bardic fighter.
They could be.
Like a swashbuckler, but with more performance based.
Yeah.
Man, I want a multi-class in something dope and homebrewed. I'm gonna multi-class in
Ranger, Beastmaster Ranger. No, I don't know.
Oh man, that would be great. That would be awesome.
No, I think I've seen other people say that maybe Jared went assassin. No, he's 8 levels of swashbuckler. And assassin is another rogue class, so I don't think he could go assassin if he wanted to. Could be Echo Knight.
What is Echo Knight? Is that the
Echo Knight's one of the new ones? No, Echo Knight is one of the new ones from Wildmount. It's a dunamancy. It's a dunamancy magic where you basically create a shadowy reflection of you. It's pretty sick. Okay. All right. We have run way long today because Jessica and I can't stop nerding out over lore and conspiracy theories. Let's see. Wednesday is episode 95. We're so excited, and I think we're going to dive right back in. We're going to find out what's going on with Persta Samuels. But we're going to find out so much more. And anything else going on this week, Jess, that I'm missing out on?
No, I don't think so.
Let's see.
We have some new programming in the works as well.
Yes.
A new show in the works.
Coming. Yes. No, we'll tell you more about that soon.
That's Morgan saying, shut up, Jess.
Shut up, Jess. Too much. We have some more merch coming. More merch ideas. Ron is killing it with all the merch. And but this VOD, as you know, will post tomorrow to the Patreon. We love you guys. Thank you so much for being here with us on this wonderful Monday.
And let's go say hi to our favorite host Trisha Hershberger. She's playing
Yay!
Deathloop, so please tell her hello from Morgan, Jess, and the Dungeon Run fam, and we will see you on Wednesday night for some more Dungeon Run.
Bye everybody.